Hello, I'm Pam Carruthers of healingstars.com, and this is my presentation for the Spring Equinox of 2014. It occurs, of course, this week, March 20th, 21st, depending on what part of the world you're in. It's a stunning picture here of the sun itself, the amazing energy of our home star, because the sun is a star, eternal, everlasting. It gives us light, it gives us warmth. Without it, we would die. So this is a celebration this time of year, because the sun is now moving into its most exalted sign, the sign of Aries. And this is, of course, equal day, equal night. And so in this presentation, I'll be talking about the sun in Aries. I'll show you the chart of the spring equinox. I'll explain about elements, the 4 elements, and how unbalanced they are at this time. Then talk a little bit about the balancing of the masculine and feminine. A little bit about the mythology of Mars, because the sun is ruled in Aries by Mars. A fire ritual, so some suggestions for you. And a healing to do with letting go. A very important principle, and I feel a very valuable healing to take place at this time. I'm going to then talk about initiation, and I'm going to give you a little bit about my workshop called Healing Your Birth Story and my consultations. So as you can see from this picture, the sun is the immortal spirit. It's about our purpose and our destiny. Why we came, why we incarnated onto planet Earth. And this time, when the sun is going into Aries, this is the first sign of the zodiac, number 1. So it marks the astrological new year. So if you haven't made resolutions in January, I mean, who does? Anyhow, nowadays, but this is a really more important, I would suggest, more significant time, because you're in tune with the season. It's a fire sign, Aries, and the symbol is the ram, as you see pictured here. The sun is exalted in Aries. It governs the sign of Leo, but it's really strong and powerful in Aries because it's got this burst of new life force energy. And of course, Aries is ruled by Mars, who is the warrior. But Mars fights for the king. It's especially true in Vedic astrology. You know, he's the commander-in-chief of the army, and he serves the king. And the king is the sun. How distorted that warrior archetype has become nowadays in our lives. So he's not to forget that. Now the glyph, that's a symbol. If you can see it very clearly, it looks like the forehead. You know, it could be seen as the nose and the 2 eyebrows. So it's all about going head first, heading off in a new direction, and being the pioneer. Pioneer, of course, is a very positive archetype, the one who goes first. Now this is the chart. It's set for London at 16:57 p.m. The ascendant in London is Virgo, so for us in the UK, we're ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the messenger, and Mercury is now in the sign of Pisces, which is over here on the right. Mercury looks like Venus with a little hat on, alongside Neptune, or Poseidon, and Chiron, the healer, the wounded healer. The sun, this is all water signs. The sun, which at this time of day is setting, it's in the 7th house of relationship, is a difficult aspect. It's called the inconjunct. Just saying it is difficult. Inconjunct, an adjusting energy with Mars, which is its ruler. And Mars is now retrograde, went retrograde on March the 1st, won't go direct till May the 20th. It's 8 months in the sign of Libra, so we've already been having quite a few months of this energy. So it's a difficult energy. The sun itself is moving upward in this diagram, this chart. It will join, it moves 1 degree a day, roughly, but 1 degree is a good estimate. And of course, you can see it's going to join Uranus. Uranus is now in the sign of Aries. It stays there for 7 years, so again we've been used to this energy. But that will occur later. That occurs actually on the 2nd of April. So this is another initiation energy that I suggest you really delve into and really take on board. Mars itself is actually in a very positive relationship with Saturn. An unlikely pair, but actually very, very valuable pair. It's extremely, you see the degree, that's 25 degrees is Mars retrograding, and Saturn is also retrograding at 23. Mars moves faster than Saturn, so it is forming that sextile perfectly. Mars likes Saturn because Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which means if you think of the bodybuilder, what do? They exercise, they lift weights, they strengthen their muscles, and in doing so, they become stronger. And that's why Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which is Saturn's sign. So it means to me that we can achieve a lot at this time, really set powerful intentions, because we have an ally in Saturn. Saturn gets things done. Saturn says, come on, let's just make this real. Let's make this, put it on, touch it, feel it, ground it. That's what Saturn, when it's in a good position, can do. The moon at this time, at the equinox, is actually in Scorpio, and it's moving towards its exact conjunction with Saturn. This is a deep energy. Scorpio likes research. I am a Scorpio. I love research. And it also has intense emotions. But the moon, very significant always in the chart, about our feelings, our emotions, but also very much helped by Jupiter. Jupiter is at the top of this chart. If you haven't noticed, Jupiter is in the night sky, very prominent. You can see it's the brightest object apart from the moon, and it's in the constellation of Gemini, which is right next door to the constellation of Orion, which is most people can see. So anyhow, the moon, as I said, is helped by Jupiter. It's in the sign of Cancer. It's also helped by Chiron. So there's a grand water trine forming here, the moon, Chiron and Jupiter. That's very, very healing, especially because it's in the sign, the element rather of water, of healing. The T-square, that's the red energy in this chart. There's Jupiter, there's Uranus, there's Pluto. This is a massive cardinal. Cardinal means action, T-square, and Mars is going retrograde to complete it, becoming a grand cardinal cross in April. I've just done a day workshop with 2 other well-known astrologers on this very subject. This is a very important and significant time we're moving towards in April. But the sun, coming back to now, this is our beginning, our starting point. The chart, if you don't understand any of that chart, here's another one to look at. It's the same chart, but now I've color-coded it for you, and I've actually used for Jupiter, I've used abbreviations. So hopefully if you don't understand the glyphs of astrology, this one hopefully makes more sense to you. Aries is red. It starts. It's like start of the rainbow, start of the zodiac, the first sign of the zodiac. It represents the first house in our birth chart, that moment of birth itself. Elements, the 4 elements, are to do with the 4 seasons of the year. So fire, Spring Equinox. These are the Aries, Leo and Sagittarians amongst you. So now the only planet in fire at this time, actually I'd forgotten it, the only other one is Uranus, of course, is the Sun and Uranus in Aries. How could I possibly forget Uranus? Okay, so there's 2 planets at the moment in fire signs. In air is also masculine. So air is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So the only planet at the moment in an air sign is Mars, the ruler of the sun, and that's in Libra. This is an axis. So because the air sign of the season is the autumn equinox. So just think about this. This is red opposite green. There's Libra down there in green. That forms the masculine axis. Aries is all about me, identity. This is me, who I am. It's very significant at this time for us all to know that, to take command of that energy, because that's what the sun wants. It wants us to be the commander-in-chief, the leader, the king in our own lives. Libra, where Mars is at this time, is the opposite. Libra is all about recognizing the difference between you and me. It is our projection that we see out in the world, but also it gives us clear boundaries, very healthy boundaries in relationships. Because if I have a sense of who I am, then I'm not concerned with you and what you think of me, which can be a Libra problem, wants approval all the time. The feminine elements are water and earth. So Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, water elements. And here you can see we have a strong, very strong amount of water. Jupiter, the Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, and Chiron all. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 planets now in water signs. So it's an overdose of emotion that we're still connected to. In Earth, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, Earth is also a feminine element. We just have Pluto in Capricorn. So as you can see, there is a huge imbalance at this time of the feminine axis. Cancer is the summer solstice, Earth, Capricorn, the winter solstice. So that's another axis. So the feminine emotions, and emotions of course can hold us back. Fire is taking us forward into the future, especially of course the sign of Sagittarius. So this is what the impulse is about to move into the future, create a new beginning. And when I come to the end of the video, you'll appreciate how important letting go is, letting go of the past. So I suggest you look in your own chart to see what maybe you have an element that's not in balance, that might need firing up if it's lacking in fire. The balance of the masculine, the Mars energy, the warrior, its goal is to protect life. The old view, this survival of the fittest, the Darwin theory, is all about competition, and it's all about win-lose. That isn't the aim of Mars, the fire energy. And if you look at nature, of course, it relies on cooperation and mutual support. We don't have wars. Animals don't have wars. In fact, often they befriend other species. They naturally want to get along with each other. And the paladin, as you see here, Chuck Spezzano card, the paladin, honours the truth. He has his sword. He dedicates himself to God to serve the king. I find that a very important principle at this time. Now in mythology, this is a wonderful diagram. I have taken this from a book by Liz Green, beautifully done. The picture is from The Gladiator, which is Russell Crowe, and The Gladiator is all about Mars. He's a general, so he epitomizes Mars in Capricorn. The other picture is Joan of Arc. Of course, she is kissing that sword there. She also, of course, was a pioneer, a feminine warrior. But as you can see in the diagram, we move from the light. At the night, we have Lancelot. We've got father-son rivalry. You know, we've got Aries. Aries was the original. He's a 300-foot giant, quite aggressive in his energy. We have the animal kingdom itself. We have all these fire gods as well. The idea is separation from the mother, from the womb. The heroes, the dragon, you fight the dragon, all the battles of the heroes is a call to adventure at its best. The Kabbalah is also involved, and here we have force, discipline, severity. The Chariot is interesting. The Chariot, nowadays, if you notice, I've noticed this recently, children, babies, are now in these enormous pushchairs, which are chariots. They take up a huge amount of space. So there's this real kind of importance for the baby now to be riding in one of those. But in the tarot, the Chariot actually is to do with Cancer. But it is a strong energy about intuition as well. The original phallic gods, Ra means Zeus, Shiva, Zeus is connected to Jupiter, but these are all to do with this fiery energy. And then you see Samson, the story of Samson. So these kinds of stories we see all the time in TV, in movies. Movies love war films, but they also, the chivalry, which is the archetype of the knight, that's why I want to particularly draw your attention to that. A very good idea at this time of year is to have a fire ritual, awaken the fire in you. Fire, of course, purifies. That's its nature, isn't it? So this spring equinox is marking the day where equal day and night meet. It's a turning point in the year because we're rising from the darkness of winter and we're ready now for the birth of a new cycle and the adventure of life. So if that doesn't inspire you, nothing will. This is the time to make changes in your life. Especially, as I mentioned before, when the Sun joins Uranus on the 2nd of April. That's another date to mark in your calendar. The Sun and Uranus together, they say, be decisive, be bold, be fresh, be original, be new. Uranus is very, very creative. And if you know Sun-Uranus people, they have that conjunction. They are a very creative group of people. They invent things. Because Uranus is coming from the ether. It's a sky god. It's that spark of imagination. We can all access it at this time of year. So really mark that date down. One very simple thing to do at this spring equinox is to plant bulbs. The bulb is the energy of Aries, the life force that comes through the ground to produce that amazing colour. If you haven't planted, obviously winter bulbs, this is the time now to plant your summer bulbs. The obvious, light a fire, light a candle, sing or shout to claim your inner warrior. Hopefully not in your bedroom, maybe somewhere safe, outside or even in a car, of course. You can often shout in your car. Also, you may want to listen to some Martian music. Ride of the Valkyries is one. You don't want to get up and go and do something and dance to that. It's a very powerful energy. And also, of course, Mars, Bringer of War from Holst, the Planet Suites. He wrote that, interesting enough, at the time of the First World War. When, of course, that's what people with, that the fight, what was the fight for? It was all about, of course, being dominated, which is the false use of the masculine. The masculine does need help. It really does. The true warrior, the one who truly protects life, needs all of us, each and every one of us, to ask and bring that home within ourselves. The healing principle of letting go came to me today to talk about with you. This is from Chuck Spezzano from Psychology of Vision, this card. It's from the Enlightenment Pack. And the concept, as you can see, is about releasing past loss and needs, coming into a present perspective, and opening to the next step. You can see this person climbing out of this hole that she's dug herself into and letting go of the old memory, the old picture of her life, and embracing the new. So what letting go is about, it heals holding on. It heals expectations. We always get disappointed if we've had an expectation. It heals stress. It heals perfectionism. All of these are based on some picture of or demand for how things, others, and yourself should be. Should being the operative word there. Should is very much a Saturn word. So there are demands involved in this. These demands are your idea for what would meet your needs. So if you've ever had someone demand you do something, even if you wanted to do it, I bet my bottom dollar that you resist it and you say no. So this is where the pressure, you see, the demand is too much pressure, it's too much aggression. So letting go of the past, that allows new goals and directions to appear. So you can't win if you hold on and demand that life return to a past which didn't fully satisfy you. How many of us have this idea of the past? And it wasn't like that at all. So we've got this illusion often about the past. We're caught in Neptune, which is the energy at this time, very prominent, Neptune in Pisces itself. And of course we can glamorize the past. So when we let go, the past isn't lost. That's what the ego might tell you. It's not thrown away either, but it's put into perspective. It's honoured, of course it's honoured. There's nothing wrong in honouring the past and the remembrance. But when we let go of, we want it to be like that again. That's the energy here. If we let go of that, then it allows us to live in the present once again. I'm very much a water sign, so I am taking this to heart as I'm speaking to you. So, letting go, how to do it. First of all, is there a person that you need to let go of? So if you go within and you look for that person, all the aspects, all the qualities of that person, a situation or a past event that you're holding on to, which is stopping you becoming totally present and successful in the here and now. So is it an old flame? No pun intended. Of course, there's a picture of flames here, but it could be an old flame. It could be a childhood sweetheart. It could be a time in your life that you were really happy, felt that you were really on top of the world. And the interesting thing is, if we are holding on to that, part of our mind thinks we're still there. So it won't allow us to have it in the here and now, because it thinks we've already got it. Like the dream, the dream state. So it's a really important process to let go. I invite you to do that. The second process is, as you can see, to let go of our grievances. And in shamanic astrology, you're offering something to the gods when you do this. The gods like it when you let go of your grievances. So take your time, write down any grievances that you may still have about your parents, what they didn't give you, what they didn't do for you, did they let you down, oops, anything that they didn't give you. Obviously grievances about your present partners, your present friends, and your ex-partners, of course, quite obvious one, and organisations. Often we do feel let down by organisations, don't we? So this is something I tell you, so take your time, write this down on a piece of paper. I will be doing this myself. I always walk my talk as best I can. And then have that ritual. Ask your higher mind also to help you with your intention, so you can be sustained with that intention. And then, of course, burn that piece of paper, obviously safely. It's kind of obvious. That's why I chose this picture from the internet. I thought it was quite beautiful. It invokes the fire energy and the star as well. So this process, ideally, if you can, invite a friend around as well to do it together, because it's very difficult for the ego to let go. It doesn't want to let go. No. It goes, no. I'm not, I know the past. I'm safe. I'm comfortable with the past. I've heard the native tradition is that the past is actually in front of us. The future is behind, because we can see our past, but our future is unknown. So it's also, you might want to do that as a physical look at the east at the solstice, the equinox, look at the east, notice the east. That's where all the planets are rising, the sun, everything rises in the east, it sets in the west. So the east is the direction to be looking. Now I do and have done a workshop since the year 2000 called Healing Your Birth Story. This is very much about initiation. And this is another card from Chuck Spezzano. It's the conspiracy deck. I really love that picture. And he says an initiation is a new beginning in consciousness. An initiation recovers part of the mind, which has been lost over time or through trauma. Initiation has a similar effect as adding more memory to our computer. So greater awareness, psychic gifts, more power and authority, gifts of vision, purpose, creativity and healing can all come about as a result of initiation. Initiation recognizes our life as a spiritual odyssey, an evolution toward oneness. Initiation is a birth, a leap to a whole new level that launches a new chapter in our lives. How perfect to connect with this energy at this spring equinox. So my workshop, now I haven't done this workshop for quite a while, Healing Your Birth Story. It is for a small group, and I use the sacred wheel. I lay the chart, your chart, out on the floor itself. And I use chairs to represent the planets. I have planet cards. I create the spokes of the wheel. And I work in a particular way in a venue in Hammersmith, West London, that actually is aligned to the 4 directions. So as you can see, my next workshop date is May the 2nd and 3rd. And this is another quote from Chuck. He is my friend, my mentor. The birth pattern is the soul pattern, the signature of the soul through time. Shifting it is really crucial. So I've been inspired to offer now, I've got a free video actually called Healing Your Birth Story, which shows you where I'm coming from. And it's free for everyone who'd like to subscribe at my website. I'll also offer it if you're already a subscriber. And this workshop isn't about going back to rebirthing. It's not about rebirthing as such. Often people say that's what they think it is. No, it's not about that. It's about very much about where you are now. But also your chart is your soul pattern. That's what it represents. It represents your lifetime after lifetime, your karma, if you like to call it that, everything you've done, but you can change it by new action, by new initiation. So please subscribe to my newsletter. I offer often special offers. I do videos, webinars. I'd like to see you there. Pam Carruthers at healingstars.com.